Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. And in today's video I'm gonna take a look at this one. It's a Sony PlayStation 1. So I got this PlayStation 1 a while back. I haven't done anything with it. I just briefly tested it and it turned on at least. Now I'm gonna test it a little bit more and then I'm gonna install a mod chip in it. So I think this is gonna be a short and simple video. Hopefully we'll see. Maybe there's other things that can be done to this. I'm at least gonna clean it up and make it look nice and shiny again, that's for sure. As you all probably know, this is a games console released by Sony in 1994 and yeah, it's called PlayStation 1 or PS1 and it's now near to 30 years old, so I guess it is a retro now. This video is sponsored by PCBWay, and if you need to have produced some PCBs yourself, like I do regularly, then you should visit the PCBWay.com. If you visit PCBWay.com, you can get an instant quote on very good quality PCBs for affordable prices. And if you have advanced needs for PCB manufacturing, then check out their advanced PCB options at PCBWay.com. This console was very popular and it has sold over 100 million copies, and that's a great number. And of course Sony also sold a lot of games for this, many very popular titles through the years. The console contains a 32-bit R3000 CPU running at 33 MHz. And it has 2 MB of RAM. For storage it uses a CD-ROM and it also has 2 memory card slots. It also features 16-bit audio and it also has its own GPU with 1 MB of additional RAM. I bought this console a few months back, quite cheap, and it is in good shape. No damages, and yeah, a little bit dirty, and I can see a little bit of yellowing perhaps. I haven't tested it other than I powered it on and saw that it produced the picture, and thus it is kind of working. It didn't come with any controllers or games or anything like that. I only got 3 games for it: Tekken 2, 3D Lemmings and Gran Turismo. And I actually remember this game from back in the day. A friend of mine in the 90s had this and we played this Gran Turismo a lot. Really good driving game. So let me hook it up now and see if we can have some fun. This console came with power lead and it has its own built-in power supply, so you only need this. And of course a video cable, which I also got. On the back side it has 2 ports. This is the audio video multi-out, so it uses its own proprietary port for that. And this is a serial I/O, not sure what that's used for. And also here's a little a little lid for something, not sure what this is used for, can't open it. Okay, and there's some kind of parallel I/O slot there. I don't have a clue what that was used for. I can look it up obviously. And the other end of the video cable is just this regular RCA contact, so just plugging it in my TV here and we should have both picture and audio. Alright, let's turn it on. Yeah, there you see. sound and video is working. Let's insert Gran Turismo. It's a little bit dirty, black CD. So it's spinning. Yeah, starts. Just gonna do a little test, see if the controller works, and yeah, if I have to do anything with this. Okay. Let's try some quick arcade. Select easy. I think I'll go with a Mazda. Okay. Slow start. Quite good game for 1994. However, as you can see, the graphics is quite pixelated, so I'm not really sure about the resolution of this. Oops. I have played a lot of car games in my day, mostly on the Xbox. All right. Yeah, that worked just fine. This PlayStation is fully working. Okay, so this PlayStation 1, it has a region lock and it also has a copy protection system that makes it impossible to copy the CDs. However, with a mod chip you can circumvent that and be able to use copied games. However, I'm not for copying software, and I have actually never usually done that on consoles. However, back in the day on the C64 and Amiga it was more common. So I do not promote software piracy or copying games. However, this is an old system and I just want to try and do it for the fun of it. I'm not gonna buy any games for this anyway and copy them. So if I buy some games it will be originals. But it will be fun just to see how it works and how you install mod chip on this. I'm sure there's tons of videos out there on how to do this, but this is my take on it, and I'm gonna do it just for fun. See if I can do it. But before I do anything, I'm gonna clean it up real good, and I have all I need here, Q-tips, and I just need to refill my little bottle of IPA alcohol. I use this blårens in Norwegian. Blue cleaning, it's IPA, but I think it's not 99%. It's a little bit lower, but it's cheaper, and you get this in regular shops. So yeah, I use that. All right, time to open it up, and there's 6 screws on the underside, so should be fairly easy to get this disassembled. It's in the middle of the summer now, and I am making myself ready for a 4 weeks vacation. That will be good, and I will go away, so then I need to make some videos to have in stock for you. Okay, that's the inside. Let's take a closer look. I don't know a lot about the technical details about this console, but what we see here, this is the CD-ROM drive, and it looks quite small and yeah, very simple. Power supply board here, and obviously the motherboard under here, and we need to take off this metal cover here to access the motherboard where I'm going to install that chip. And that chip is this one. I just found it on eBay, and yeah, it came with a little bit of wires and this little guy here. It even came with a little bit of a solder tin. Nice to have. Let's take a closer look at this chip. If I can hold it steady, it's 12F506 EP some number 2143. And if I found the correct datasheet, this is a small 8-bit CMOS-based, RISC-based microcontroller. Just gonna disassemble this a little bit further. I can see there's some dust in here, obviously. Yeah, and there's these flat flecks here. I'm not sure if you just pull or there's some locking mechanism. Yeah, seems like this type is the one you just pull right out. And it came out really easy. So you can take off this module here, which is the memory card slots and the controller contacts. I just want to take everything out so that I can take the plastics and clean it in some water and soap. So very modular design, that's good. And the power supply, same screws, that's good. Yeah, that looks relatively clean and everything seems to be in order. Oh, that's some huge caps there. Looks like these surface mounted, but they are regular through-hole caps. And now this assembly here, I can see a few screws. Yeah, there's one there, I didn't see that. I just needed to take off this contact as well, and now it should be free. Okay, I obviously need to take off these flat flecks for the CD-ROM and the power. Yeah, we're free. And the motherboard, it has this RF shield secured with some screws there on the contacts, and one is missing. That was a little bit odd. Same screws again. It's missing one there too, so I guess that's from factory. Wasn't necessary with all those screws. So, okay, now everything is loose. Can even take off this shield under here. Yeah, but no need to do that. It's pretty spotless under here. Unless that mod chip need to be mounted on some solder point there, I'm not really sure. Alright, the plastics are now going into a bath of hot soapy water just to get all the old grime and fat off it. I have cleaned the case and also cleaned the board a little bit. So this is the motherboard. It looks very nice. There's a lot of these surface mounted capacitors and they all seems to be good. No leakage found. So to install this little PIC chip here, we need to find the correct spots on the board where to solder in the wires from each of the pins of the chip, and that depends on the revision of the motherboard, and this one is a PU22. So I'm gonna use the diagram for the PU22 on some installation guide that I found online. This is the installation for the PU22 revision, and yeah, it just outlines the pins on the chip and where they go with these numbers. To reach all the different solder points, I need to remove this shield, so I'm gonna do that now. Okay, that's out. Alright, I have marked the spots with a pen, and it seems straightforward points to solder on. There's one there, and there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one up here. So yeah, now I just need to figure out how to place the chip. I was thinking placing it outside of that shield, which I'm gonna place back. But instead of just trying to solder the thin wires to the legs of this chip, I'm thinking about using a prototyping board like this. So I'm just cutting a little bit of this that fits. Oops, that was a little bit more than I wanted. So now I just place the chip in this, and it's a lot easier to solder it and place the wires in the neighboring holes. This type of board doesn't have metal on the underside, so you need to solder from the top side. So I figure if I place it here, it will not come in contact with the shield. So now I'm just gonna cut the little wires that I need to the correct length. You need 7 wires, pin 2 on this chip is not connected. That's the wire sorted in pin number from 1 to 8. So now just place the wire into the neighboring hole and then solder it in. I think that's much easier than trying to solder it to the pin itself. The tricky part is obviously that it's a very small wire. Yeah, that's it. Alright, that's the result, and now I just need to double check that all the wires are firmly soldered in and that nothing is shorted out here. And then I cut off the pins that came out on the other side. Then a little electrical tape. I think I'll use 2 layers. Alright, now comes obviously the most tricky part, and that is to solder each of the wires to their corresponding very tiny little solder pad. I need to have the camera on an angle to be able to see and reach, and I'm using flux first. Obviously you need to be very quick when soldering in these wires, otherwise you might do some damage or melt something else. For example, this one has a little capacitor right next to it, so don't want to desolder that one. And obviously you need a small solder tip. At least I would recommend to use a small tip. Let's see if we can hit it. Yeah, that's it. I think that's good solder. Obviously I'm checking the drawing to see that I'm soldering the correct wires to the correct points. Pin 1 was up here. That's a little bit the bigger pad. I made the wires a little bit longer than necessary just to have some room to navigate. Yeah. The uninsulated wire end should obviously be as short as possible, and it's also a good idea to pre-tin the end. Oh, this is indeed very fiddly, and I almost can't see what I'm doing, so Also a little bit shaky hands here, that doesn't help. Okay, I think that's good. This one is a big solder pad, so it should be easier. Well, not. I think that's not even solder, maybe it's just some test point. I am adding a little bit solder. Okay. This last one, pin 3, goes here, and that's a very, very small pad. I'm not really sure I can make this work. Let's see. Yeah, that went okay. Not sure how good stuck it is, but all those wires are now soldered in. That looks okay. I'm gonna use a little bit of electrical tape just to keep the wires steady around where I solder them, so they won't move around and not break off. You could of course use some melting glue or anything else. And this one I just placed some blue tack under it and pushed it down, so I think it's sitting there quite firmly now. Alright, that was the solder and the chip is in, and I'm ready to test this, but before I do that I'm just gonna do a little bit cleaning and yeah, use some contact cleaner on the contacts and everything like that. Now I'm just gonna assemble it, and then we can test if this works, but first I need to find some pirated software or download a game to burn on a CDR. Okay, so I put back the shield and I had to cut a little bit here because it touched the chip, and yeah, I'm just gonna assemble this now and see if it still works. Okay, I ran into some trouble. Seems like the placement of the chip was not very wise, because this metal here holding the drive, it's protruding down, so the chip simply then just comes in the way and I can't get this metal part here all the way down. So I think I have to move the chip, and yeah. The wires are not very long, so there's not a lot of room. Maybe if I move it up a little bit and then it comes into the hole here. Obviously I should have seen that, however that's hard to predict that something like that might occur, and the installation guide didn't mention anything about that. Maybe this spot has been the best actually, but yeah, I'll see if I can move it a little bit. I think at least this wire here is too short to move it a lot. So I move the chip over here, and yeah, I think I can make that work. However, doing that I had to take off two of the wires. So two of the wires are now desoldered and loose here, and this one has to be longer. Okay, I rearranged the thing, and now it should not pose a problem for this. Yeah, so now it fits, it sits right there. Before I forget, I'm just gonna clean the lens a little bit. I just used this Q-tip with a little alcohol. Alrighty, time to test, and what I want to see first is if it still turns on and acts normally. So let's just insert some disc here. Nope, that was not very promising. Simply no picture and no activity, no spinning of the disc or anything. So obviously I did a mistake, then something is wrong here. Oh no, I just realized I did a terrible mistake here. Well, at least that is gonna make the video a little bit more interesting, perhaps. Probably some of you already seen it. This prototyping board here. I was thinking it was like this perf board here, where you have only holes, but obviously it's not. So I put the chip into the rails here, and of course then I forgot to cut the metal between. So the pins on both sides are connected together under the chip. Oh man. So let me see here. Yes, of course they are. So, okay, I need to desolder at least one side of the chip and cut the metal strips under. And of course that's not gonna be easy. I'm gonna desolder the wires on this side and try to remove the solder on the pins on this side, and then lift up the chip and cut the traces under. By the way, today it's very warm here in the Arctic. We have a high pressure from the south, and I obviously need to cool down because we get upwards against 30 degrees Celsius. And it's damn hot inside my attic right now. I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go outside and enjoy the nice weather. I'm gonna see if I can remove at least most of the solder with my soldering, desoldering station. Yeah, and that didn't go very well. Those metal strips didn't handle the heat very well, so they came loose, but that's not a problem. I can just solder those wires onto the pins. So now I'm cutting those strips, and yeah, gonna remove those. So now those are free, and I bent the pins outwards instead of placing them down through the hole, just to make it easier to solder the wires to it. Hopefully this didn't damage anything, but I'm not really sure about that. Maybe this chip is now gone. All the wires are on now, and it wasn't that hard actually, but let's see now. I'm gonna test. Maybe I'm more lucky now. No, nothing. That might be due to the cover is not in, because there's a switch here that detects opening the lid. When you push the lid, this plastic part here pushes down to that switch. Let's try. No, nothing. Did I ruin this now? Only thing is a green LED. Alright, let's try to figure out what's wrong with this. I have checked all those connections and they are good. I also powered the board up, and I measured that it has voltage around here where the power supply connector is. However, on pin 1 you should have 5 volts from this point, but there is nothing. So hopefully it's some fuse that has blown, because when pin 8 and pin 1 was bridged together, obviously that shorted out the 5 volts. And yeah, I can see there are some fuses here. I think these are fuses, the black ones, at least some of them, and I'm going to try and measure continuity on those. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Not sure if this is a fuse. It's good. It's good. And over here there's one there. Let's see about this. Okay. Maybe I found it. There's no continuity there.
Hopefully it's as simple as replacing that fuse. We'll see about that. I'm gonna remove it now. I don't have those kind of fuses. I need to find something else to use, maybe a small 0 ohm resistor instead. Obviously that's not recommended, but I'll try that temporarily. Let's see now if I can remove this without damaging anything else. Not in a very good mood now, but yeah, those are the things that can happen when you don't check everything. It's out. Gonna see if I can zoom in on it to see the marking. I can't see it with my eyes. It says 2.3 amps and some number 036. Not really sure. No, nothing. That's a broken fuse. Just gonna add a little bit solder to clean up the pads and make it ready. Oh, I touched plastic with my soldering iron. It smells burnt plastic. That's not good. I can find a 0 ohm resistor, so I'm just gonna bridge it with this little wire here. Okay. Okay, let's see now. Do we get the voltages we need? This voltage regulator should give out 5 volts, which it did. So now I'm turning it on, and let's measure on the other side of that bridge. 3.5 volts, yeah. From the power supply there's one 3.5 volts line and one 8 volt line, and from this voltage regulator you get 5 volts. So let's see now, do we have 5 volts over here where the chip is connected? 3.5, maybe that's the one we should have on the chip itself. 3.5 volts, yeah. So maybe this works now. Let's turn it on and see. Yeah, look at that. Now it's working. Nice. Okay, now I'm gonna assemble the machine and then I'm gonna test if that chip is functioning as it should. Let's see if it loads the game. This is not a copied game, it's an original. Oops, CD player, main menu. Didn't boot. Okay, next error then. Now it seems to boot. I'm just holding down the switch that is for the lid being down. Yeah, it booted fine. The only thing I did was I took out this flat flex cable and inserted it again. I think it was a little bit out of position, that's all. Let's check out this game. So I'm really happy it turned out okay. I was making myself ready to make a fiasco video of this, but yeah, no, maybe it is working. Tekken, that's a fighting game, I guess.
Round 1. Fight.
Okay. I'm the girl. I have no clue how to play it other than push the buttons. Oh, look at that. Alright, now I got the blank CDR and I'm gonna copy a game that I downloaded and see if it works with the chip. So I found this Medal of Honor. It's a bin and a Q file. Should be easy to burn with the image burner software. So I have this image burn tool and I have inserted the CD. Now I'm gonna start it. Burning away. Alright, the CD is complete, Medal of Honor USA, and that means that this is an NTSC, and that's another region, and that's one of the things that this mod chip do. It makes it possible to use games from other regions. Let's see now if it works. Yes, look at that. However, graphics seems to be a little bit off. So something's wrong, but at least it boots and didn't trigger the copy protection.
Of a broken and dispirited nation, rebuilding the country from the ashes of the Versailles Treaty.
Okay, let me see some action, even if the colors are bad. So I seem to be in some kind of bunker or ditch. Okay. So it's kind of dark. But it's totally playable. Alright, so that chip worked. However, since it's NTSC, probably my TV doesn't like it. So yeah, or something else is wrong, I'm not sure. The other PAL games, they do work fine, so there's nothing wrong with the PlayStation. Okay, what to do? Block here. They're all drowning. Okay, I blocked it. So now they're turning around. And they get into their house. Happy about that. Alright, that's it for this video. I struggled a little bit, but it turned out okay in the end, and that's the most important thing. I also like to show my mistakes as well, and not only the happy cases. So now I have a PlayStation 1 that can play all kinds of games. Not that I am gonna use it for that. This was just for fun, to see if I could install this chip, and I did. PlayStation 1 was a very good games console for its time. It had these custom chips that did wonders with 3D graphics, and that was part of its success, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the content, and special thanks to my Patreons. Don't forget and like and subscribe. Thank you, bye bye.